To anyone who finds themselves in this place, let it be known that we have seen this journey through to its end. We've seen thousands of remarkable sights and engaged in twice as many battles to boot. I hope that all who arrive here will make the correct decision, even if that's different from the one we made. I know my time is drawing near, and I will likely not see that outcome, but others with my will be born. And I know the state of this cruel and oppressive world will be shattered soon. Pirate Goldie Roger. P.S. I drank a little too much last night and may have, relieved myself on part of it, so apologies for that.
Okay. Alright, hold on everybody. Just give me a sec here. I gotta... Alright. Oopsie daisy. Okay. Alright. Okay. Well, it took me a while. But I finally found it. You know, for so long people were looking for it. Where's the One Piece? Hell, where's Goldie Roger buried at? Well, guess what? Turns out he's actually buried in a cemetery 5 minutes from my house. Who'da thunk it, right? Now, I will admit, they tried to screw with me. They said his name on the tombstone was Gordon Rogers. But we all know R's and L's in Japanese. You know, you could interchange those, and you separate that out. Boom, boom. Will of D is just, it stands for Dawn this entire time. So, everybody named Dawn out there, you were lying to us. But whatever. Okay, so I dug him up, and this is what I found. The treasure. Except I can't really open the... You know what? It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. It's the 21st century. We have technology, ladies and gentlemen. I'll go to Home Depot and buy a blowtorch or something later. I mean, we all know what happened last time, but I think I'll be alright this. I've learned not to play with fire, okay? Now, the One Piece treasure, if you're gonna make a discussion about it, it's just because it's like, it's the final goal of the series to go to Raftel and find out what the One Piece is. That's the name of the series, is One Piece. So, I mean, feel free to make theories about it. It's just most of them have already been, out there beforehand. You know, this has been something people have literally been theorizing about since the beginning of the story, right? But, it's just kind of one of those things you have to tackle at some point. It's just like, yeah, I mean, like, there's all these interesting characters, and devil fruits, and admirals, and the Revolutionary Army, and the Tenryubito, and what's going on with Im and the Gorosei, and what's going to happen at the end of Wano, but after all of that, looming over everything, kind of behind the scenes, doesn't really get brought up very often, is the One Piece treasure. And so, I don't know if I could bring anything new to the table, but I did think of a few other angles to take it. So, yeah, no, first off, I wanted to address something, okay? Now, this was something I was a little bit confused by. A lot of people were kind of, like, dubious. How does this exactly work? Did Roger create the One Piece in the sense that the One Piece is a physical treasure, and then Roger, accrued it over the course of his journey? Because at the very, very beginning of One Piece, okay, before we got into the whole thing with Luffy, really, and the discussion about devil fruits and how big the world really was, and we didn't even know about the world government yet as an organization. Before all of that, in just the opening crawl of One Piece, he had wealth, fame, power, Goldie Roger achieved this and everything else that the world had to offer. All that crap. Did you think the One Piece was going to be anything more than just physical treasure? Because at the very beginning, I have to admit, I just thought, oh, okay, there's this really badass pirate dude, Roger. He traveled the 7 seas of the world, possibly 8 if you include the All Blue, and he just accrued a tremendous amount of, like, Krugerrands and diamonds and doubloons, matey. And he just went to this random island, dug a hole, threw it all in there, X marks the spot. And then that's it, you know? This was at the very, very, very beginning of One Piece. But as the series goes on throughout the years, you start thinking of it more in like a, you know, maybe not in an actual literal treasure sense, but maybe it's just knowledge. And we know that the Rio Poneglyph, at least, I don't know if, like, you know, all the Rio Poneglyphs, I'm pretty sure it's not all of them are there, but at least, you know, maybe the last one is there, so the truth about the Void Century is there, so knowledge is definitely a part of it. But there's other stuff too. Maybe knowledge about an ancient weapon. Maybe the ancient weapon is there. So think of it much more beyond just like actual treasure. But did Roger create it or did he find it? And this was actually revealed definitively in a Vivara card. It was actually a Vivara card from the very first pack, like way back when the Vivara card data book first came out, back in, I believe, September of last year. And Artur did the translation, so I'm just going to bring this up here. But it was mentioned, yes, Roger found the One Piece on Raftel, okay? He did not create it. Now, this is very important because you'd figure the island Raftel itself is built up to be this mythical phantom mirage island, right? That's probably even harder to find than Mirage Island was in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, all right? Look it up. So it was already a mysterious place to begin with. By the time Roger was born, that was a mysterious island, okay? So what happened was this, at least in my opinion, here's how this went. 900 years ago, when the Void Century was rocking and you had the Will of D clan and you have the world government trying to achieve power, you had Joy Boy and the ancient weapons thrown in there in some way, shape, or form. We don't exactly know the particulars about what happened, but at the end of the day, they decided to hide the One Piece, and that's the name of the treasure. That's what Roger found was the One Piece, whatever that was. I'm going to get to that in a moment. They hid it on this mysterious Mirage Island of Raftel, probably because of, you know, security. This is an island that's, as Roger stated, very hard to get to. You can't just sail your ships to it. There's some method to do. I mean, even beyond the 4 road poneglyphs, which you need to have the 4 cardinal positions in order to reach it, I'm sure reaching the island itself is probably no cakewalk. I'm sure, like, oh, okay, we lined up the coordinates, and then right in the center of the coordinates, there's Raftel, and oh, there it was the entire time. We could just walk on shore. No, I'm sure there's going to be some screwy thing with it, like the mist is going to make it seem like it's not really there, like it's an invisible island, and maybe it's like you have to sail into the mist at a very particular angle at a certain time of the day when the moons are all aligned perfectly, and you can only enter it for like 2 hours a month, and it's like if you pass through, then you can get into Raftel, because you'd figure the world government has been looking for this damn place ever since the Void Century, and the world government has the Marines, the only naval force in the entire world. It is huge. Now, granted, the New World is a dangerous place, okay? A lot of crazy weather patterns. You got the Yonko. You got a lot of strong customers there, on top of Sea Kings and other, like, large sea monsters and Leviathans and whatnot. But even so, you'd figure with all the freaking ships the world government has at their disposal, you'd figure all of the centuries that have passed since the Void Century, if Raftel was an easy place to get to, somebody, somewhere, you think would have stumbled upon it at least by accident, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not just an island that's out there. Even if it's like, okay, yeah, you need to get the road poneglyphs to find the location, but when you do, it's just a regular island. No, that can't be the case. Because if it was just a regular island sitting out there, you think just by process of elimination, the world government would have found it at some point, right? So, yeah, there's something on top of the road poneglyphs you probably have to do, right? But they hid the One Piece there. And then Roger, the reason he became the king, the reason everybody referred to him as the king pirate, the head honcho, Lord of the Mustache, not an official title, but he was Lord of the Mustache. So, you know, the reason he's regarded in that way is because he did the impossible. He did something the Marines and the world government hadn't managed to do for almost a literal millennium. And he managed to do it. He followed it the right way. Fate was on his side. He's also a member of the Will of D. It was also stated, by the way, in that Vivara card that he was aware, fully aware, of what the Will of D stood for. He knew what that initial was. And he took great pride in being a representative of that clan, right? So, you know, and also that's probably why he got pissed off when people referred to him as Gold Roger, not Gold D. He's like, I'm a D, dang nabbit! I was born a D, I have a D, and I'll die a D. Damn straight. You know, that was Roger, right? Okay, so he finds the One Piece. Now, on top of that, though, I also want to take in something that Oda said in an interview, because people over the years, you start to think like, all right, is he gonna pull a fast one on us with this freaking treasure? And I think in an interview, somebody asked Oda, paraphrasing here, but the general question was, is the One Piece gonna be an actual thing, or is it just gonna be like, not a tangible actual item or treasure? It's just gonna be like, you know, the journey you had with your friends was the real treasure this whole time. And Oda, of course, was very vague about it. He didn't come out and say, he's like, oh no, it's definitely not that. It's definitely this. Didn't say that, but he did say, they are definitely going to get something tangible as a reward for all the trouble they went through. That was essentially his response. Once again, paraphrasing, but the general idea. Now, here's the kicker, though. Here's the funny thing you gotta know about that. If the Straw Hats, plus Jinbei, if he's around at that point, maybe by Raftel, maybe by the final arc, Jinbei will pop up, you know? Actually, Raftel might not even be the final arc. We might have a Raftel arc where they actually try to get there, and they finally land on the island, and then search Raftel. Raftel might be the ancient kingdom. There might be people living on Raftel. We don't know. Might be some phantom tribe living there that was outside of time and space for 1,000 years. Like, time progresses for you, but not for us. To us, you know, a millennium is only 10 years. Goldie Roger was here last week from our perspective. You know, maybe, who knows, right? So there might be a whole arc around that, and then afterwards, there might be that big throne war, like, arc, you know, like, okay, Straw Hats found the One Piece. Now everybody else is coming after them to get it, right? Because that's the smart thing to do, right? Don't try to find the Mystery Island. Wait until somebody to find the Mystery Island for you, and then attack them. So, easy. Anyway, so, right, though, it's funny, if the Straw Hats, let's say, were to open up the giant doors in the treasure hall, and they literally do, like, it's completely empty, there's nothing in there except for a little post-it note that Roger tacked to the wall that was like, your journey was the real treasure, smiley face, signed Goldie Roger. I guarantee you, there might be some comedy moments between, like, maybe Nami, because you could see Nami being all like, oh, I wanted there to be gold. You can imagine Usopp and Chopper, like, they have a face fault or something, or they're, like, Chopper's freaking out, like, what? You mean there's no treasure? But at the end of the day, I think the Straw Hats, if that was literally the case, I don't think that's the case. Oda pretty much said it wasn't the case, but if that was the case, they's like, oh, the journey was the real treasure. All of the Straw Hats, I think, would have a moment where they look to Luffy, because this was Luffy's goal the entire time, was, well, Luffy's goal was just to have a great adventure and to become king of the pirates. But if he found it, they look at Luffy, Luffy turns and looks at all of them, and they have a moment where, like, you know what? It was. The journey was the real treasure. And they all walk off to the sunny together. So, I have no doubt the Straw Hats would be happy with that finale. Like, yeah, it was journey. We made the best friends we'll ever have. We're family. We found our family during this journey. People that we would live and die for. People we care about more than anything else in the world. All the crazy adventures we had. That is an adventure. They walk off. And meanwhile, the fandom collectively says, what the f***? Riots in the streets, mass hysteria, people arriving at Oda's house with pitchforks and torches. Let us at him! That's the funny thing, right? You know, like, in the context of the story, the Straw Hats would be cool with it. The fandom wouldn't be. And you know what? The thing that would really make me the most agitated would not even be, because you better watch me with a pitchfork. Oh yeah, look, I'm the real threat right here. I got flannel, you know? But no, it wouldn't even be like, there's no treasure. I would be more pissed off by the fact that that is the most, like, cliche thing you could do. Like, they're looking for a treasure, a MacGuffin, and it turns out to be nothing the entire time. That's never been done before in the history of literature, now has it? Oh, that's what would make me agitated. It would be kind of like, no, you know what exactly what it would be like? It would be like you sit through all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You watch all of the movies in the lineup, and all of them are the same. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, everything's the same. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Black Panther, everybody. Everything's the same up until Infinity War, up until the last movie, okay? You go in to watch the last movie of the Avengers, not Endgame, let's just say it's Infinity War. You go in to watch it, and Thanos doesn't appear, There is no antagonist. The entire movie is just the Avengers getting together at an amusement park being like, wow, man, this adventure has been crazy the last few years. Look at all these friends we made. You know, look at Ant-Man and look at freaking Falcon and Captain America. We're all friends. Let's just have fun at an amusement park. And it's 2 hours of just the Avengers just being pals, walking around an amusement park, riding the Ferris wheel, you know, or the go-karts. You know, maybe if there's some time by the end of the day, we could even play mini golf together. And then the movie ends with a climactic thing where it's like it's Captain and Iron Man playing mini golf and like who's gonna win. And then the movie ends and then that was it. Like, happy day for the Avengers. Meanwhile, everybody in the theater is collecting, frothing at the mouth at the freaking betrayal that they just had, you know? Like, so that's the situation, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Okay, so what do I think the One Piece is? Now, I thought about this, and I came to this conclusion, and I want you guys to think what you think about this. All right, so there's a theory that's out there. Made a video about it once. It's been out there for a while, though. The whole theory that, you know, the Red Line is going to be destroyed and create a unified ocean. You know, so one piece, one world. You know, the Red Line is destroyed, Marie-Joie falls, Tenryubito are out of power, and the world is free. You can travel, you know, the different seas, not worrying about that natural border, because perhaps the Red Line is not natural, okay? Now, that's the general idea, but how would you accomplish such a thing? You would have to have some sort of device or whatchamacallit already in existence for this to work. And I thought about that before, I've said it before, but I just thought of something last night that kind of makes everything click. Reverse Mountain is near the tail end of the New World and the beginning of Paradise. That's the choke point where Reverse Mountain is, right? So it's possible, not exactly guaranteed, but possible, Raftel Island is very, very close to Reverse Mountain. Once again, it could be any other mysterious place in the New World. It could be, they might even have to backtrack to go to it, but it's possible it could be right at the foot of Reverse Mountain or around Reverse Mountain in some way. So how about this? Roger lands at Raftel, he finds the One Piece, and the One Piece is not treasure, it's a device. And the device is just, it's a pedestal with a big red button on it. And then you got some poneglyphs or whatever that the ancient ones or whoever they were put there to explain what it is. Or if you want to go with the idea that there are still people living on Raftel, there are people there as like the sentinels, the guardians, to explain what the thing does. And maybe they're not even there to guard it. Maybe they're just there to be like, we were stationed here to explain the function of the One Piece, the device, the One Piece. We were not put here to prevent people from pushing it. We were merely entrusted by our descendants, our ancestors in order to just, you know, explain to the people the stakes that involved here. And here's what the One Piece is. It's a button, and you press that button, and Reverse Mountain goes, poof. Now, you might think, well, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a good thing if Reverse Mountain explodes? Then, you know, that way there's free travel between the oceans and people can move about and, you know, there's freedom and everything, especially if it also crumbles, maybe not just Reverse Mountain, maybe it destroys the entire Red Line. That would be something that I think would make more sense, especially if the Red Line was created artificially, not supposed to exist. They press that button, the explosion begins at Reverse Mountain, and then it's like a domino effect. You know, Reverse Mountain goes kablooey, and then the rest of the mountain just boom, 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 and just begins to sink into the ocean. Now, you might think, oh, that's a good thing, because Marie-Joie would fall, and the rest of the world would be unified. But there's a downside to this. And the downside is this, and this is the reason why, let's say they created this weapon 900 years ago, but they didn't use it. And the reason they didn't use it was this. You press that button, yeah, the world gets freed from the Red Line, but you're sinking an entire continent into the ocean. This is going to cause massive disaster throughout the world. This is going to cause pretty much every island to flood. This is going to cause a ridiculous amount of seismic activity, like an earthquake for the ages, which would lead to tsunamis, which would lead to more flooding. Basically, the world government 900 years ago, they did something to create this Red Line, this thing that's not supposed to exist. They did it to further their own power. We, the D-Clan, developed a method to destroy it, but we couldn't use it, we were afraid to use it, because if we did, it could possibly destroy the world. So that's the rub. That's the risk. Either, and I admit, by the way, I didn't look into every single theory. I literally just thought of this last night. If somebody else out there has come up with this exact theory, because, like I said, it's been out for 21, almost 22 years. I like to think at least at some point, somebody probably had to think of a similar idea than me. But I swear to God, I was just, last night, I was like, what the hell could the One Piece be? Maybe it could be a device that actually causes the Red Line to destroy. And if it's like, okay, if you press that button, Red Line sinks. When it sinks, the world might end. Might! We don't know 100% if it's going to, but even if the world doesn't end, it might become inhospitable to life. And that's the risk. Maybe that's when Roger arrived at the island, he was told what the One Piece is, what this giant red F-off button does, and Roger and Rayleigh and Scopper Gabon and Crocus, they were all sitting around this device at Raftel after this epic adventure to end all adventures, and they were sitting there trying to figure out, what the hell do we do? If we press that button, Marie Joie falls. World government, Tenryubito, all of that goes away, which is good. The world returns to the way it was, which is good. Freedom to trade, freedom to travel, not limited by this giant red wall in the way. That's good. But it could potentially wipe out all life. I could look at Rayleigh looking at Roger like, do you really want to take that risk? And it's a philosophical question, really. Like, you could even look at it from the angle of, what's better? The world continuing under the reign of the Celestial Dragons and the world government, where they have this oppressive grip over everybody, and they enact cleansings at will, and they control pretty much everybody. They Buster Call islands out of oblivion into oblivion just because of their knowledge that they seek. What's better? The world being under that kind of constrictive grip, or everybody being freed from that? Is it worth the risk? Because it might not be. It might not end the world. You might press the button, the red line falls, the sea levels rise, islands get flooded. It's not that great for a while, but life manages to find a way, sort of deal. Life manages to succeed, and after a few years of hardship, humans still propagate, and if that's the case, everything's peachy keen at that point. You can't have a world government to control the world anymore now that the red line doesn't exist. Everything might turn out okay, but then Roger decided, I can't make that jump. I can't do it. And so maybe he feels like he made the wrong decision when he left, and he's like, maybe, someday, that note I did at the beginning of this video, the intro, I mean, I made that up, obviously. It's not like anything canon, but I could see Roger, if he was met with that kind of decision and he chose not to press that button, he might have left a message that's like, if you carry on my will, there might be a day when things get so shitty in this world that a 50-50 coin flip on the destruction of the entire planet, things might get so bad, it might be worth it. And to anybody that lands on this island, you might make it, and then you can remember what Rayleigh said to Robin. Now, he was talking about this involving the Void Century and the Rio Poneglyph, but Rayleigh was like, when you arrive at that island, if you arrive at that Raftel and you see the One Piece and you read the real history about what happened, you might very well arrive at a completely different decision than we arrived at. And Rayleigh was just like, it's a decision. He talked about it like you won't be able to change anything. He talked about it like it's a really tough decision, or maybe it's not even a decision, Because if you were faced with that kind of predicament, what the hell would you do? It's like, okay, world government controlling the entire world, I press this button, that goes away, but apocalypse, okay. And do you want to have that responsibility? Now I'm getting a really cool image of in my head, of all the Straw Hats standing around the button at the same time at this pedestal, and they all put their hands out and they all press the thing at the same time. Now I'm getting that image in my head. That looks pretty cool. You can see it, can't you? It looks cool. Oh, man. But I think that would make perfect sense, dude. I think it would. Like, One Piece. This is the device, the One Piece, the device. You press this, the world becomes one piece. Or it becomes nothing. Yeah. So like I said, this theory, the general theory of destroying the red line, that's been around forever. But I don't know if this exact theory has been around for a while or whatever. I'm sure somebody probably had to think of, like, the devices there or whatever. And, you know, it might get pretty intense. You know, One Piece has its dark moments and stuff, particularly in Flashback Land. But, you know, it's a lighthearted adventure sometimes. But when we get to that moment, don't be surprised if it is something as intense as that. Oh, and I also wanted to bring up, even though the One Piece, maybe when Roger found it, yeah, it wasn't a treasure, I do like to think that Roger, I mean, he was king of the pirates. He still went to island. He still was gathering treasure and all this really cool shit. You know he was. Okay, so I like to think when he arrived there, maybe he found the One Piece, didn't use it, but he left all of his treasure on the island. So the Straw Hats open up the treasure chamber. I like to think they're still gonna find more gold and gems and doubloons than they could ever hope to use in their life. And Nami has an orgasm immediately and shoots into the ceiling. You know, it's like a cartoon effect. And then off to the side, while everybody's freaking out over the treasure, everybody's like Frankie and Chopper like swimming in it like Scrooge McDuck, like, we're rich, we're rich. Meanwhile, Robin is just kind of like walking off to the side of the room, and she sees, like, in this corner, like, a poneglyph, like, the writing, and then she sees this random device, or it's like if you don't want a button, it's a lever or something, and it's just like, here it is, this is what it was. You know, everything else, all the treasure and everything, that's not important. It might also involve that egg, if you want some type of guardian on Raftel to protect the One Piece or make sure nobody pushes it. It could be the egg. It could be a dragon egg. Dragon could come out. And we're not talking the dragon from Punk Hazard. This might be an actual dragon, like a legit one. Maybe might even be intelligent enough to speak. Because dragons are usually depicted as intelligent creatures that are capable of speech in some way, right? In typical fashions. You know, some are just depicted as mindless beasts, but usually it's like they have the intelligence of a human or greater. So maybe Roger has this dragon egg, and he decided to leave it on Raftel. He might have just found the dragon egg at some point in the world, and it's like, all right, we have a dragon egg now. Takes it to Raftel, and he's like, oh, it hatches, it's a dragon. Well, I'm going to leave you here to guard this place, because maybe the people in the Void Century, maybe they weren't afraid of someone bad finding it, but maybe, you know, Roger was, and he was like, I need somebody here to protect the switch so nobody pulls it the wrong way or something, you know? But yeah, I like to think that's what the One Piece is. It's just a device that can be used to unify the world, but the risks would be immense. So that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, it's a pretty broad discussion topic, you know? Let me know what you think below on what the One Piece treasure is. Really loaded question, I know, but go ahead and just give me your 2 cents, because that's really cool to hear about. And you know what? I can't wait until we actually get to that point. It's going to take a few years, but I tell you what, when we finally get to that point, somebody's gonna be right. All of the people that made all these theories past 20 years, probably 25 years plus by that point, you know for a fact somebody nailed it. Unless, because I think Oda did also come out and say, I'm not great at citing these interviews, but I think he also did say, somebody asked him, if somebody correctly guessed the One Piece, would you change it? And Oda was like, yes, I would. Now, that proves right there that he has multiple endings. Because, you know, Oda's a decent writer. He's a pretty good writer, actually. He's not going to be like, oh, crap, somebody found out about what the One Piece was. This Tekking kid figured it all out. All right, I'm going to change everything around last minute. No. He's not going to just scrap-built a new ending at the very last minute. No. So that means Oda, he has multiple endings planned. He probably has a freaking folder or a notebook locked in a safe inside of another safe 3 miles underneath the earth in his private bunker area. And that's just like the ending of One Piece, you know? And it's like, 10 different possibilities on what and he keeps adding to it, like, oh, that might be a cool ending, that might be a cool ending, and he's like, someone guessed that one, someone guessed that one, someone guessed that, oh, nobody guessed option 7 yet, I think we might go with 7. Turns out the One Piece is a giant bird. Okay, whatever, I'll roll with it. Oh, but now he has to change that one. I'm gonna stop trying now. I'm just gonna stop trying. Alright. I guess I should probably try to open this thing up, shouldn't I? Come on. Alright, hold on, wait a second. I got tools here. I got tools. Alright, that doesn't work. Alright, hold up, wait a second. Yeah, this'll work. Alright. Alright. Here we go. Okay, good. Woo! Alright. Oh, yeah. I like that. I'm happy with that. That makes sense. Okay. Son of a bitch, Roger.